Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be with you again. And today I'm joined by Bekah W. Hi, Bekah.
Hi.
I'm so happy you could join us today, Bekah, because I have been watching your journey since you joined our Eat God's Way cooking program back in January. And right now we're recording this in May. And I'm just so proud of what you and your family have accomplished. And so invited you on just to share your story. So thank you for being willing to share.
Thanks for having me.
This is going to be fun. So I'm sure you're going to share things that I'm not aware of yet. So I can't wait to have this chat. So first, before we get into the specifics, will you tell us a little bit about you and your family?
Sure. So, my husband, Nick, and I have been married 3.5 years. We have two boys, 2 year old and almost 8 months old. And yes, they are precious. I love them dearly. And so I love to see your grandkids because
Mhm.
it just reminds me of the joy of my boys.
Yeah, yeah.
We live in Iowa on an acreage and have been growing our own garden. So that's been fun and a learning experience trying to figure out how to preserve all of that.
Yeah. What bounty. God is so good to make all
Yes.
that flourish right up out of the ground from little tiny seeds.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. I know we've been working together since January. Talk to us about what you were looking to solve or what your frustration was or what you were struggling with in your family that made you want to join our Eat God's Way cooking program.
So, probably the big thing actually was sourdough. About a year and a half ago, my husband asked me if I would try to make some sourdough bread. And I was like, sure, why not? I'll give it a go. So,
What a
I
good
got
wife.
a
What a good
starter.
husband.
Yeah, that too. So I got a starter from someone locally, had absolutely no clue what I was doing. So my bread came out edible, but dry and kind of hard and really not all that great. And my father in law and sister in law were here, and I had made some sourdough hot dog buns. And again, I didn't know what I was doing. They weren't very good. And my sister in law said, well, at least the dog will eat them.
Oh
So,
no. A
yeah.
for effort.
So I was like, well, okay, not going to waste. So that was kind of discouraging. And then, so I set the starter aside and it got black and gross and it was hooch. But again,
You didn't
I
know.
didn't know what I was doing. So I just threw it away.
It's okay. That happens a lot.
Yep. So I threw it away and I was like, fine, I'll just go back to what I know. Because at the same time, we were also starting to mill our own flour. And so there's a learning curve with that as well. So I was like, I'll focus on this and
Sure.
then
Yeah.
maybe I'll get back to the sourdough. So when the sourdough course came up, I
Mm.
brought it up to my husband and I said, hey, there's a sourdough masterclass. I'd really like to do it. And so we talked about the costs and do I have the time to devote to it with two little boys? And I was like, yep, because I'm going to be in the kitchen making bread and things anyway. So, yes. So he let me sign up and here we are. It's been a fun ride.
Oh, good. I can't wait to dive into that more. I think it's so sweet how your husband's the one who came to you to make sourdough bread. You tried, and then you went to him to say, I could learn a lot here. It's like you're such a good partnership. It actually reminds me of me and my husband because many things that I have done have been because he asked and I failed. And then it's like you
Uh-huh.
have to get help somewhere. And
Yes.
sometimes it's just reaching deep inside, and the Lord is good. And sometimes it's like a book or a cookbook or a course or something. Marriage is a wonderful partnership of growth. And I just love that little story about you and your husband. So you had been learning to mill your own grains and you were baking with home milled whole grain flour, which is a learning curve on its own. And then you
Yes.
wanted to add the sourdough aspect to it.
Yes. To make
Okay.
it more nutritious.
All right. And then just talk to us a little bit about your diet overall. Do you feel like it was healthy or was it something you were looking to improve at all too?
It was fairly healthy. I make most of our meals. We don't eat out that much. And I try to make things from scratch rather than from a box.
Yeah.
But life happens, and there are times when I was in a pinch, and you just do what's easy. I'm fairly healthy, but probably not prepared in a traditional method.
That's the perfect starting place, actually. People come to it from many different aspects, but I think somebody who's already cooking from scratch and is used to that rhythm of I make basically all the meals and all the snacks. Often coming to traditional cooking, it's like, oh, this is actually easier and faster now, which I don't know if that was your experience at all, but I just think you had the right foundation for that. Of many good foundations, that's one of them. That's a good one. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you dove into the sourdough masterclass, which for those of you listening, it's our perfect sourdough A to Z online class. And we do offer it in a guided format where we kind of put you on a schedule. It's not too intense and you do have break time and weekends off, but you do have regular assignments and a reward at the end. And so that's what you started with us in January, correct?
Yes. And having that structure was a big help.
Talk to us about that. I'd love to hear how you made it work in your life.
For me, with having an infant, it was easy for me to watch the videos while I was nursing him because I was like, what else am I going to do right now? So I was like, this is a perfect time to watch the videos. And then, kind of like I said, since I was in the kitchen anyway, making things, it was really easy to add in the sourdough aspect. It was nice that it really doesn't take that much hands-on time for a lot of things. It's more just waiting or prepare it overnight and then the next morning be ready to bake things.
Nice. So the baby was probably only like 3 or 4 months old. And then your 2-year-old was like 1.5. What did your older son, was he interested at all or was he a little bit too young to pick up on it?
He has kind of been interested. He loves to be in the kitchen with me, but obviously doesn't really understand what I'm doing yet. But sometimes he'll help me stir things, like he'll help me stir up the sourdough starter. He likes to watch. So I had to get him some of his own little kitchen tools so he can play in the kitchen with me.
So precious. That is the way to do it. It's like learning and they don't even realize they're learning because they're just soaking it in and absorbing. It's really great. And then what were your husband's observations as you started the process of doing the assignments and getting the sourdough starter going and such?
He enjoyed it. I think he liked everything I made. So that's good. Nothing was too big of a flop. There were things that don't go perfectly right the first time you make them, but it was all still edible and delicious. And many times he would say, oh, yeah, you can make that again. This past Sunday at church, we were talking to another couple. And this gentleman had said he doesn't really like cake. And so my husband goes, oh, you've got to try Bekah's sourdough cake. It's so good.
Now
So it's
that
nice
is
to
high
hear
praise.
those sorts of things.
Yeah, that's so great. So you graduated from dog food to mostly edible to you have to try Bekah's sourdough cake. Awesome.
Yeah, so it's been good.
Good. So besides the cake, what were some of the highlights that you, your husband, or your sons enjoyed that you made?
Oh gosh, really everything. I've made the pancakes and waffles a lot just because they're super easy. I make pizza a lot. That's another thing my husband has said. He'd much rather have pizza that I make than at any restaurant.
Nice.
So that's exciting as well. Everything was good. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the texture I'd like on the bread, like the open crumb. But I figure I'll get there. I just keep trying.
You will, absolutely. So you struggled so much prior to the class, and then it seems like it just clicked for you. So is it possible for you to put into words what made the difference for you to start making successful sourdough?
So I think the big thing probably was having the videos. That was super helpful. Like you can read a blog post or a recipe. Oh, here's how to make it. But to actually have the videos to see what the consistency of things should be like was really helpful because I would often find myself going back and watching the videos again while I was making it just to double check and be like, okay, how does mine look compared to in the video? Is this right? So I think that kind of added to the success of it.
Awesome. Yep. I'm definitely a reader, but there are certain things that you just have to see, and it can make a huge difference whether you get it or not. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Is there anything else about your journey through the class that you feel like would be a good up or a down to share?
So another thing, so going back to before I started the class, and really even before I had my son. So it's been almost a year ago now. I had a rash that just randomly appeared. and it started on my legs and then it spread to my arms and my chest and my neck. And it was just incredibly itchy, and all of the things I tried weren't helping. I mean, it might offer a little relief momentarily, but it wasn't going away and it was just spreading. And everyone seemed to think, oh, maybe it's just your hormones because you're pregnant. It'll go away after you have the baby. And it didn't go away. It got worse. So I am thankful that I can say now I only have a very small rash on my arms here.
Left.
And that's it. That's all
Oh,
that's left. A lot of that I attribute to sourdough and preparing things in a more traditional method.
wow.
I
You think
remembered
that the
hearing your story about
anti-nutrients.
your son with his
Uh-huh.
eczema. And so I was like, let's give this a shot.
Oh,
So,
wow. Praise the Lord. And sometimes we don't know exactly what it is, but it's like everything
mhm.
contributes because we have so many little levers to move in our diet. And the more things that we can do right, but of course, we can't do everything right. None of us are perfect. But the more things we can do just a little bit better can impact our health in significant ways. I'm so happy for you. Oh, and I forgot to ask you, did your husband notice anything, any improvement? What was his reason for wanting sourdough in the first place? Was it because he felt like it was healthier, or did he like the taste, or what?
That's a great question. I think it was more just the taste, maybe that he was after, maybe health benefits. I
Mhm.
guess I haven't asked him if he's noticed anything different in his health or not.
His big win is he has more reasons to praise you now,
Yes.
right? At least that's a big win. Oh, I love it. And then one day you posted that you had made a full breakfast where everything was homemade, homegrown. We featured it in our
Yeah.
email. And actually, we got tons of feedback back that people just loved your little story. Can you talk to us a little bit about
Oh.
that?
That's so sweet. So let's see. That breakfast, I made scrambled eggs. We have hens, so it's from our own eggs, and it had asparagus from our garden and garlic from our garden. And then I had done the 14-day cultured dairy
Mhm.
challenge. And so I had cooked it all up in cultured butter
Put your
that I
butter.
made from that challenge. And then with it, we also had garlic sourdough focaccia.
Oh, wow.
And
This is
yes,
just stacking
and
up.
and so that was good. And so again, the garlic was from our garden. And I decided with that recipe, rather than use water, I would use whey, again
Mm,
from the Cultured Dairy Challenge. Oh, it was so good. As I was eating it, I was just like, oh, this is gnafflins.
yes, it
Hopefully I
is.
said that right.
You said it just fine. For everybody listening, that's what we eat, Gnaufglins, God's natural, organic, whole foods grown locally in season. And you can say Gnaufglins, or we've had little ones say glow muffins. It's
Oh,
pretty
that's
cute. Have
fun.
you heard that before?
No, but I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Easier to
Someone's little
say.
child, like they could not figure it out. So they just said glow muffins. We are so proud of you for that breakfast and the successful sourdough, and so happy that your rash is gone. Those are amazing wins. And maybe you look at each one and you're like, they're not huge. Well, successful
Mhm.
sourdough is pretty huge. Actually, a rash is pretty huge, but you've had some really, really big wins along the way. So we are so proud of you.
It's been a great journey.
It's been wonderful. The whole team, the moderators love you. Everybody loves seeing what you do, Bekah. And
Oh,
you've been to office hours quite a few times too.
I have. I try to make it when I can,
Yeah,
which
with your
is not
boys.
every week. So sometimes I only catch bits and pieces of it, but it's better than nothing. And I can always go back and watch them again.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, what are you working on next besides the perfect crumb on your bread? What's next for Bekah or Bekah's family?
The next thing I'd like to do is go through fundamentals to actually touch on more of the cooking and preparation methods because I'm still don't know that much about it. Again, I'm doing the 28-day challenge right now. And so I've dabbled in it and
Yes.
learned some things, but I'd like to dive into fundamentals and then probably fermenting and pressure
Mm.
cooking.
I can see we're going to keep you busy for quite a while.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Everyone who's listening today, I'm sure has enjoyed your journey What do you think about your journey that could relate to other people? Just think about you and what you've enjoyed about our Eat God's Way program. Who else do you think would do well with Eat God's Way?
Really, anybody would, but I would say, especially, I feel like for me, this is proof that busy moms can do this, that it really doesn't take that much time to add it into your day or your week. If you're just doing one thing a week that you're adding or learning, it all adds up.
Yeah, you're watching videos when you're nursing.
Yeah.
You're
Mhm.
practicing when you're cooking already. The methods do themselves, so you actually save time, and a lot of people save money too. So I love that you really put that in perspective, because I think so many people come to, or just the thought of healthy cooking, they think, oh, I'm going to have to spend all day in the kitchen, or I'm going to have to spend tons of money on special health foods. And a lot of
Right.
that doesn't work out to be true. It's not the reality.
I don't think I really had to buy any like special ingredients. For the most part, it was things that I've already had in the house. And so it's just figuring out how to use them to best benefit our family.
That's amazing. And I think it's so true for somebody who's already cooking, that you just found your just right way to level up, I guess. And the rash going away is proof that you're on the
Mhm.
right track. Such a blessing from the Lord.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Bekah. I have just enjoyed listening to your story. It's been wonderful and so encouraging. And I think going to give lots of people a dose of reality who may have been thinking, oh, that's too hard. Oh, I don't have enough time. That if you are super busy, and that if you take it in turn, doable chunks, day by day,
Mhm.
week by week, you can make a lot of progress. You are living proof.
Oh. Thank you.
We are really proud of you. I can't wait to check in with you again another 6 or so months and
Oh, yes.
see how
See
your next
what all
challenges
I've
are.
learned.
Yes, yes, let's definitely do that. And for everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in and joining us to hear Bekah's story with successful sourdough, and then serving a breakfast that was entirely homegrown, homemade, all the fruits of her labor. It was so beautiful. And if you'd like more information on Eat God's Way, we do have multiple classes you could jump in on depending on what your interest is. If it's perfect sourdough, if you're interested in ancient grains, if you'd just like to go with the fundamentals of traditional cooking and Eat God's Way, we have options for you. So just reach out using the information that is with this video, and we'll be happy to chat. Thanks, Bekah. Thanks, everyone. God bless you. Bye-bye.